The red sky burned over a quiet alien world. Strange winds moved across the dead rocks, making low howling sounds. It was a forgotten place, no cities. No life, just silence and dust. Jack Rayner sat still inside an old alien ruin. The place looked like a broken temple, tall black walls, half buried in the sand. He was deep underground, where shadows touched every corner. He had been waiting there for 23 days. No one spoke to him. No sounds, only the beep of his scanner. Every 6 hours, Jack was not a normal man. He had served in the Earth Defense Forces, fought in 3 outer wars. Now he was a bounty hunter, working alone, chasing things others feared. This time, he was hunting a myth, something strange and dangerous. People had said a rare alien creature moved through these lands. Something valuable, something not supposed to exist. He set a trap using old alien tech he found years ago. It was shaped like a glass circle. If anything stepped inside, it would freeze time for 10 seconds. Enough to trap something and scan it. Jack had placed it between 2 broken pillars where strange footprints had appeared last week. Each night he checked his cameras, cleaned his rifle, and waited. Nothing came, until today. A sharp sound woke him, a clink. Metal on stone, then silence again. Jack moved quickly to his screen, heart beating faster. The motion sensor blinked. Something had stepped into the trap. He grabbed his pulse rifle and climbed up the ladder quietly. His eyes scanned the hallway, empty. Then he reached the top chamber where the trap was set. At first, he saw nothing. Then his breath caught. Inside the glowing trap ring there was someone, not a beast, not a monster. It was a girl. She had long white hair, glowing skin, and wore a cloak that looked like it was made of light. She was curled on the ground, eyes wide, breathing fast. Her arms had strange marks on them, symbols Jack had never seen. For a moment, Jack just stared. He had expected a wild alien, some creature with claws and teeth. Not this. She looked hurt, afraid, and confused. The trap timer ended. 10 seconds passed. She gasped and rolled out of the ring. Breathing hard, Jack stepped forward and aimed his weapon. "Don't move," he said, voice cold. The girl looked up at him, eyes glowing soft blue. "I didn't mean to, please. I was running," she whispered. Jack narrowed his eyes. Running from what? She stood slowly, hands raised. "From them," she said, voice shaking. "They're coming. They'll kill us both." Before Jack could ask more, the ground shook slightly, far in the distance. A deep rumble echoed like engines or something. Much bigger. Jack looked at his scanner. No signal, no ships, but he felt that something had been awakened. He pulled the girl back down the steps and into the lower chamber. There, he started scanning her life signs. DNA, energy levels. The results confused him. She was humanoid, but her blood glowed like a star. Her cells were not from any known species. And one line flashed on the scanner. "Unknown genetic marker detected." Jack lowered the device and stared at her. "What are you?" he asked. She looked at him with sad, tired eyes. "I don't know anymore," she said softly. "But if they find me, they will erase everything." Jack didn't like the sound of that. He had come here for money, for proof of something rare. Now he had a living mystery in front of him, one that might be more valuable than anything he had ever seen. Still, his instincts told him something was wrong. She was not just rare, she was being hunted. And now, so was he. He looked at the ceiling, hearing distant echoes, again closer now. Then he looked back at the girl. Her body glowed faintly in the dark. She was shaking, weak, but still standing. Jack raised his weapon again, unsure. He had set the trap, but now he might be the one caught in something far bigger. The girl met his eyes and said in a whisper, "They will come from beyond, for anyone who helps me." Jack took a deep breath. Outside, the wind grew louder. The red sky began to pulse. something was coming, and the real hunt was just beginning. Asterisk, the girl didn't blink as Jack kept the blaster pointed at her. Her eyes glowed softly in the dark room, calm but tired. She had stopped shaking now, like she knew she was safe. Or maybe just too tired to care. Jack wasn't sure what to do. He had seen things in his life. War, aliens, betrayal, death. But nothing like this girl. She looked human, almost, but the scanner said something else. She was part of something unknown, something dangerous, or powerful. He lowered the blaster slowly. "What's your name?" he asked. The girl looked at him, confused for a moment. Then shook her head. "I don't have one," she said quietly. "They never gave me one." Jack frowned. "Who are they?" She didn't answer. Instead, she walked to the edge of the room and sat down against the wall. Her cloak shimmered again, like it was made of soft light. Jack watched her. Unsure if she was a prisoner, a victim, more bait in someone else's trap. Outside, the rumble from the sky had stopped, but Jack knew better. Silence was never good. It meant something was watching, waiting. "I need answers," Jack said, stepping closer. "If someone's coming, I need to know who they are and what they want with you." The girl looked up at him. "They're called the Vokar," she whispered. "They hunt my kind." Jack's breath caught. He had heard that name once. Long ago, during a black market mission, alien pirates talked in hushed voices about a secret war. The Vokar were not bounty hunters, they were erasers. They didn't chase people for money, they erased species. From history, what did you do to make them chase you? Jack asked. The girl looked at her hands, glowing faintly. "I was born," she said. That's all it took. Before Jack could say more, his wrist scanner buzzed. A sharp pulse, then static. Something was blocking the signal. He stood and moved toward the hallway, saw his motion sensors flashing red. But no image, no heat trail. The air felt thick, like time itself was slowing. He turned back to the girl. "What did you do?" he demanded, but she was already on her feet, her hands glowing brighter now. Her eyes filled with fear. "They're here," she whispered. "They found me." A sudden blast shook the temple, dust falling from the ceiling. Jack grabbed the girl's arm and pulled her toward the hidden passage. "Move," he shouted. They ran through narrow tunnels under the structure, his boots slamming against the stone floor. Behind them, the sound of voices echoed, not human. Sharp clicks, deep growls, and something worse, not machines, not beasts, hunters. Jack pushed a metal panel aside and shoved the girl through it. They reached a small room where Jack had stored supplies. He locked the door behind them, breathing hard, heart pounding. The girl stood in the middle of the room, holding her chest. Her skin dimmed, the light fading. She looked at Jack with pain in her eyes. "I can't run much longer," she said. "They'll take me. Or they'll destroy this whole planet trying." Jack sat down across from her, thinking fast. He didn't sign up for this. He wanted proof of something rare, something he could sell. Instead, he had a living alien girl who could bend light. And time and a death squad chasing them. Still, something inside him stirred. He had seen innocent people die before. He didn't want to see it again. "What else can you do?" Jack asked. The girl raised her hands slowly in the air between them. A shape appeared floating light like a hologram. It was a planet map. Dozens of red dots blinked across it. She pointed to one. "This is where they took my people," she said. "Prison camps, test sites. They want to copy us, not just kill us." Jack stared at the map. The dots were spread across the outer systems, places humans rarely went. This wasn't just a hunt. It was a war, and no one knew. "Why? Me?" Jack asked. "Why did you end up in my trap?" The girl gave a small smile. "I didn't," she said. "I walked into it on purpose." Jack blinked. "What?" "I followed a signal," she said. "Your signal." You didn't set a trap for me. I set one for you." The room fell silent. Outside, something slammed against the temple wall out. Inhuman, the Vokar were getting closer, but Jack couldn't move. He stared at the girl who had no name, who walked into his life and flipped everything upside down. And now, she wanted him to help her fight an invisible enemy, one that had already started a silent war across the stars. Jack picked up his rifle, loaded it, and said one word, "Why me?" The girl looked him in the eyes. "Because," she said, "you're not like them." The storm came before the sky changed. No clouds, no thunder, just a pulse. Like the planet itself had taken a deep breath. Then, everything stopped. Birds that never sang here went silent. Dust froze in the air, hanging like smoke, and Jack Rayner knew they were here. He stood at the old temple gate, looking out over the desert. The girl stood beside him, her glow dim, like a lantern running out of power. She touched the stone wall with her hand and whispered, "They're close, closer than you think." Jack had been hunted before, but this time was different. This time, he wasn't alone, and whatever was coming wasn't after Hemet, was after her. His drone scanner zipped overhead, eyes wide open. It paused in the sky, scanned the horizon, then made one sharp beep before exploding. A blast of blue light tore through the rocks where the drone had floated. Stone cracked, metal melted. Jack didn't wait. Inside, now. He shouted, pulling the girl back down into the tunnel. Behind them, another explosion. Then came the sounds, clicks, growls, and something like voices whispering in reverse. The Vokar had arrived, and they were not alone. They moved through shadows like smoke, tall, armored, their eyes hidden behind dark glass masks. But their skin shimmered beneath the armor live, shifting. Jack sealed the stone door behind him and turned on the defense grid. Old tech, half working but better than nothing. He tossed the girl a small breathing mask. Tunnel gas lines might be cut, he said. Stay close and don't touch anything glowing. They ran deeper underground, past the ruins of old alien machines, past bones of something that had died long ago but still didn't rot. As they moved, Jack set trap strip bombs, EMP bursts, spike mines. He had trained for war. And today felt like war again. The girl whispered, "You don't have to fight for me." Jack didn't look back. "I'm not fighting for you," he said. "I'm fighting to live, and you're part of that now." Suddenly, a soft hiss behind them. One of the traps had triggered. Then silence. Jack raised his weapon and aimed back toward the darkness. Nothing. Then a shape appeared tall, bending its body like it had no bones. It moved fast, too fast. Jack fired, but the bullets bent mid-air. The creature raised one arm, and the tunnel lights shut off completely. Darkness. Then the girl raised her hands and whispered a word in a language Jack didn't understand. Her body lit up like a flare. The alien screamed, not loud, but broken and sharp. Like glass shattering inside the ears, it stumbled back, and Jack threw an explosive. The tunnel rocked. The wall collapsed behind them. They ran again, dust in their lungs, light in their eyes when they reached the old command room. Jack locked the blast door. He turned to her, panting. "You just burned that thing with light," he said. "What the hell are you?" She didn't answer at first, then said, "My people weren't soldiers. We were protectors. We didn't fight with weapons. We balanced light, time, memory." Jack leaned against a console. "Well, they want to erase all of that," he said, "and I think they just got started." The girl placed her glowing hand on the console. Screens flickered to life-old records, heat scans, energy trails. She moved the data with her fingers, like the machine obeyed her. Then she showed Jack a screen on a Tejas ship, hovering in orbit, stealth class, massive, and shaped like a blackthorn Vokar command ship. She said, "They've come for me." But they'll take you too. Jack stared at the ship. He knew they couldn't outrun that. Not on foot, not without help. We need to disappear, he said. Or fight. The girl looked up. There's a way, she said. But I need time, Jack. Nodded. Then I'll buy you some. He stepped out of the room, rifle loaded, mind sharp. He wasn't just running anymore. He was making a stand. For her. For the mystery. For whatever truth she carried inside her blood. This wasn't about a bounty anymore. It was about survival, and maybe something more, as he walked back into the dark. The lights behind him flickered once, then went out again. Asterisk, the room smelled like old metal and forgotten air. Machines buzzed softly. Even though no one had touched them in years, dust floated in slow motion, like time itself didn't move here. Jack stood in front of a console that had no buttons. Just a glass surface and faded alien writing. The girl stood beside him barefoot, silent. Her glowing hand resting gently on the glass. With one touch, the console lit up, not in red or blue, but in colors Jack had never seen before. Shades that looked like memory, like dreams, caught in light. This is not human tech, Jack said quietly. The girl nodded. It's older than your kind, older than even the Vokar. Jack didn't move. He had seen ancient tech before, most of it broken or dangerous. But this felt different. This machine wasn't built for war. It felt gentle. What is this place? He asked. The girl looked at him, her voice soft. It was a library, she said. A place where my kind saved memories. Not just data. The console shifted again, showing a hologram. It wasn't a map or a video. It was a memory living and breathing. A city in the sky, floating towers. Gardens of stars, beings like her walking in peace. Hands glowing, eyes full of light. They didn't carry weapons. They shaped the world with thought and feeling. Jack stared at it in silence. Then the vision darkened. The sky cracked open. Black ships arrived. The Vokar, they came not to invade, but to erase. They didn't conquer land. They erased history. Memory, entire bloodlines, the peaceful ones. Had no defense. One by one, their cities fell. The girl stepped away from the console. They destroyed us because they feared what we could become. She said, we were not soldiers, but we could touch time, space, light itself. Jack swallowed. Hard, so you're one of them. The last one? She nodded. I was hidden as a child, placed on a forgotten moon, kept asleep for years. But when I woke up, everything was gone. Jack turned to the screen again. What do they want from you now? They want to end the bloodline. She said, because my kind didn't build weapons, we built keys. Jack raised an eyebrow. Keys? To what? She looked at him. 2 doors your kind doesn't even know exist. Before Jack could ask more, the console buzzed, this time with a warning. A red signal blinked in the corner. Someone was watching. Signal trace detected, she said. Her voice tense. They're trying to find me through this machine. Jack moved fast. He ripped the power core out of the wall. The room went dark. We need to move, he said. But first, what do I call you? The girl paused for a moment, then said quietly, Lyra. That was my name before the sky fell. Jack nodded. All right, Lyra. Let's make sure your sky doesn't fall again. They moved through a side tunnel, deeper into the ruin. Jack had one last Trican uplink to an old Earth military database. Hidden and encrypted. He needed answers, and fast, in a small underground chamber. He activated the uplink. The signal was weak, but it worked. He uploaded Lyra's scan, waited. 10 seconds, 20, then access denied. Red text flashed. Classified level 9 authorization required. Then a message appeared, one he didn't expect. A face, Commander Alden. Jack's old mentor, recorded years ago. The message began. If you're seeing this, it means you found one of them. This girl is not your target. She's your responsibility. Protect her at all costs. She is the last light of an ancient species, and if the Vokar get to her, humanity won't be next wheel. Be forgotten. The message ended. The screen went black. Jack stood still, everything around him spinning. He had set out for a bounty. Now he was guarding the last piece of a lost civilization, one that could unlock doors to power war peace beyond anything humans had known. Lyra looked at him. "I'm sorry I brought this to you," she said. Jack shook his head. "No, I think you were brought to me." Suddenly, the wall shook. Another attack. Vokar soldiers had found the lower tunnels. Jack raised his weapon, heart pounding. Lyra stepped forward, hands glowing again. "We don't need to kill them," she said. "We just need to show them something they've never seen." Jack smirked. "Let's hope it's bright enough as they move toward the exit tunnel." The screen flickered one last time. A message in alien text glowed faintly on the console. Jack couldn't read it, but Lyra whispered its meaning. "Memory lives, light remembers," and with that, they vanished into the tunnels. One soldier, one survivor, and a secret the galaxy had tried to bury. The firelight danced on the stone walls. Jack sat near it, cleaning his weapon. Lyra was asleep beside a small power lamp, her breathing slow and quiet. They had escaped, for now. The tunnels behind them were sealed, and the Vokar had lost their trace, but Jack knew peace never lasted long, especially not in a galaxy where trust could be bought and sold. He looked at Lyra again. Even in sleep, her hands glowed faintly. She wasn't just a girl or an alien. She was hope, and that made her dangerous. Jack turned on his comlink, opened a private channel. A voice answered, old and familiar. "Jack Rayner, still alive." "Thought you were done with jobs like this?" Jack smirked. "I need an extraction," he said. "Low orbit? No questions." "Fast ship," the voice laughed. "Still full of trouble, huh? Meet me at grid 11A in 6 hours. Jack ended the call and leaned back. He didn't tell the man about Lyra. Not yet. Too many ears in space, and too many eyes on her kind. Hours later, they reached the meeting point, an old scrapyard on a floating rock. And there he was, Kai Trell, ex-smuggler. Jack's oldest war buddy. His ship looked like a flying toolbox, but it was fast. Kai smiled wide, arms open. "Jack, you owe me a drink and maybe 2 new engines." Jack smiled back, then introduced Lyra. Kai gave her a long, strange look. "Interesting company you keep," he said. They boarded the ship, lifted off into the sky, but Lyra looked uneasy. Her glow was dim, her eyes distant. As the stars came into view, she whispered, "This ship. It's too quiet." Jack didn't understand. Then Lyra touched the wall, closed her eyes. A flash of pain crossed her face. "We're being tracked." She said, "There's a signal inside the ship. Someone said it before we arrived." Jack spun toward the cockpit. "Kai, are you joking with me?" Kai turned slowly. "Sorry, Jack," he said, "but the girl's worth more than you and me combined." In that moment, Jack's stomach dropped. His old friend betrayal, sharp as a knife. Kai had sold them out. And worse, he wasn't alone. The ship's back hatch opened to Vokar agents stepped in. Silent, masked, Jack fired, instantly took one down. The other moved like a shadow, slashing the air with a long black blade. Lyra raised her hands and pushed the airlight shot forward. The Vokar flew backward, crashing into the wall. But Lyra collapsed, weak, her energy fading fast. Jack rushed to her. Kai pulled a blaster and aimed. "I didn't want to hurt you, Jack, but this deal could buy me a whole moon." Jack stared at him. "Then go live on that moon alone." He threw a flash bomb and tackled Kai, knocking the blaster away. They fought hard. Old friends turned enemies. Metal cracked, blood spilled. Jack didn't want to kill him, but he had no choice. One hard punch ended it. Kai dropped, unconscious. Jack locked him in the ship's brig and returned to Lyra. She was still breathing, but pale, her glow nearly gone. He carried her to the escape pod. Set the coordinates to a secret Moona hidden Earth outpost. Stay awake, Lyra, he said. You're not dying on me now, as the pod launched. Jack looked back at the stars. Everything had changed in a single hour. A friend had become a traitor, a rescue had become a trap, and somewhere in the darkness, the Vokar were still hunting. He looked at Lyra, weak but alive beside him. I'm sorry, he said. I should have seen it coming. She opened her eyes slightly. No. She whispered, I did. I just didn't want to believe it. The pod landed quietly on the hidden moon. Jack carried Lyra into a cave where the old outpost still hummed with power. It wasn't much, but it was safe. For now, he placed her on a rest bed, connected her to the station's healing core. Then he sat beside her, silent, tired, angry, not just at Kai, but at himself for trusting too easily. Or maybe not enough. Lyra opened her eyes again, voice soft. You still trust me? Jack nodded slowly. With my life, she gave a faint smile. Then, maybe it's not over yet. Outside, the stars moved slowly, but Jack knew something had shifted. This wasn't about the bounty anymore. This was war, and war always begins with betrayal. Asterisk, the galaxy never slept. Stars kept burning, planets kept turning, and war never waited. Jack Raynor stood alone on the cold cliffside of the hidden moon. The wind pushed against him like it wanted him gone. But he didn't move. He just stared up at the black void. Where they had taken her, above, hidden in the shadows of a dead sun, floated a Vokar command ship, massive, silent, cloaked in gravity shields. It didn't fire, didn't speak, it simply existed. Like a tomb waiting to be filled, they had taken Lyra, dragged her from the outpost while Jack was offline for 38 seconds. He counted every one of them, replayed the moment in his head like a broken memory chip. But regret didn't save people. And Jack wasn't done yet. He moved quickly across the rocks toward an old hangar bay. There, waiting for him, was a rusted dropship and a pilot who owed him everything. Still can't believe you're alive, said Sora Vale, ex-fleet captain. Turned rogue smuggler, and now you want to board a Vokar warship. You've lost your mind. Jack tossed her a small data chip, coordinates, layout, weak points, and a favor you still owe me. Sora sighed. You really don't know how to ask nicely, do you? Jack gave a half smile. If I asked nicely, you'd say no. They took off an hour later. The dropship was old, but fast. And in the back, waiting silently, was Jack's last backup, Unit 9. A retired combat drone with a scar across its faceplate and a broken voice box. Mission start. The robot buzzed. Probability of death, 91%. Jack checked his gear and loaded his rifle. Sounds like good odds. As they reached the edge of the enemy ship's shadow, Jack felt his breath slow. The command ship looked like a dagger floating in the dark. No lights, no motion, but it was awake. Sora dropped them at a blind spot just above the outer hull. Jack, Unit 9. And a backpack full of explosives breached the side quietly. No alarms, no defenses yet inside. It was worse than he expected. The walls pulsed like veins, black and alive. The air buzzed with strange electricity. He followed the map Lyra had shown him days ago before Kai's betrayal. They moved silently down through twisting tunnels of metal and bone until they reached the containment core. There she was, Lyra, suspended in a glowing cage of energy. Her body floating, her glow was weak, fading fast. She looked like she was dreaming and trapped inside it. Jack moved fast, planted charges around the power cells. But just as he reached the cage, a voice echoed through the room. You came. Alone, it said. Low, broken, familiar. From the shadows stepped a Vokar commander taller than the others. And behind the mask, it removed the helmet. Jack froze. It was Kai, not dead changed. His eyes were dark, skin marked with alien veins. "You left me behind," Kai said. But they didn't. Jack raised his weapon. "You let them in," he growled. "You let them inside you." Kai laughed. "They offered me something better than loyalty. They offered me a future where I never lose again." The lights dimmed. Vokar soldiers appeared from the walls quiet. Waiting, Jack triggered the explosives. One side of the room burst open in flame. Chaos. Unit 9 charged into battle, firing rapidly, shielding Jack as he ran to Lyra. He placed a small device on the cage, her own tech. Her glow responded. The cage cracked open. She fell, but Jack caught her. She opened her eyes weakly. "You came back," she whispered. "Always," Jack said. "Now, let's finish this." Kai screamed something in an alien tongue and charged. Jack fought like a soldier, possessed, his rage focused, his aim deadly. They clashed in the center of the room. Old friends turned enemies under strange stars. Jack didn't win with strength. He won with memory. He remembered the man Kai used to be, and what he feared most. Jack whispered one name, Evra. Kai froze. It was the name of Kai's daughter, the one he lost in the war. That second was enough. Jack knocked him back, set the last charge, and grabbed Lyra. "Time to go," he said. They escaped through the breach as flames filled the chamber. Unit 9 stayed behind, holding the line, "Goodbye, friend." Its last words buzzed. Jack and Lyra were pulled back into Sora's ship. The warship exploded behind them, silent fire in the void. Safe again, but not whole. Lyra lay on a medbed, eyes closed. Jack sat beside her, watching her chest rise and fall. She had survived again, but he knew this wasn't over, not by a long shot. In her blood was a memory the Vokar feared, and now, in Jack's hands, was a future they couldn't erase. The stars looked different now, not because they had changed, but because he had. Jack Rayner stood at the edge of a cliff on New Rhea. A hidden moon where Earth's last deep intelligence base sat buried under rock and silence. He watched the sky, waiting not for enemies, but for answers. Lyra was inside, connected to a high-energy chamber, her body still weak from the rescue, but her glow returning. Doctors and scientists whispered around her like she was made of myth. They didn't understand her, not fully, but they believed now the Vokar were real. And they were not gods, not ghosts. They were afraid, because Lyra had survived, and because Jack had brought back more than just a girl. He had brought back something hidden in her DNA, a pattern locked behind memory and blood, a signal deep inside the Earth's base. Engineers stared at it, blinking. "It's not a weapon," one whispered. "It's a blueprint," said another, "to something we've never built before, something that could bend light, store time, heal worlds, or, if needed, tear the Vokar apart." Jack didn't care about the science. All he cared about was what came next. He stepped into the command chamber, where Earth's High Council sat through holograms. Old men and women with worried eyes and careful words. "You say this girl is key to a war we didn't know existed," one said. Jack nodded. "She's more than that," he replied. "She's proof." "Proof of what?" another asked. Jack looked them in the eyes. "That humanity was never alone," he said. "And that if we don't fight now, we'll disappear like the ones who came before us." The room fell quiet. Then Lyra's voice spoke from behind him. Soft but strong. "Your kind is young," she said, "but you carry the same fire my people once did." They turned, surprised to see her standing. Her eyes glowed gold, now not blue, her body stronger, as if her power had returned in full. "You still have a chance," she said, "to stop them, to make them fear what they tried to destroy." Jack stepped beside her. "We just need a ship," he said. And a message, the council nodded slowly. Not because they agreed, but because they were afraid to disagree. A week later, Jack stood aboard the Eclipse, a human stealth cruiser refitted with alien tech, powered by Lyra's light signal. The crew was small hand-picked, loyal and ready to vanish into the dark. Their mission, to find the remaining allies of Lyra's lost race, to send a signal the Vokar couldn't silence, to remind the stars that humanity wasn't running anymore. As the ship launched, Jack looked back one last time. He had been a soldier, a bounty hunter, a loner, but now he was something else, a messenger. A warning beside him, Lyra placed her hand on a console. The ship responded with light and calm hums. She looked at Jack and whispered, "There's one more thing you should know." Jack raised an eyebrow. "What now?" Lyra smiled slightly. "You weren't just the one who found me. You were meant to." Jack frowned. "What do you mean?" She reached out and pressed her fingers gently against his neck. Suddenly, his vision filled with memory, light, color, and code. A hidden piece of his DNA lit up like a star. Ancient, buried, waiting. "You're not fully human," she said. "Not entirely." Jack took a breath. "You're saying?" "I'm one of you." "Half," she replied. "Enough to find me, enough to survive what's coming." Silence passed between them. The stars opened ahead like a curtain. Jack didn't speak again. He just looked forward, toward the places no one dared to go. The ship vanished into slipstream, leaving only one message behind, broadcast across every Vokar signal. One sentence, one warning. "You failed to erase us. Now we remember. Humanity remembers."